right, here we go, straight with the 50s. We got your 50s. Uh, it's a cross, but the Tornado is a cross between a 50s Cadillac and a 50s Chevy Bel Air. I think it's got more Bel Air influence than Caddy, but I've had people argue with me about it in the past. Um, but yeah, to me, it's straight Chevy. Regardless, it's a beautiful model. I really like what Rockstar did with it. Um, hey, money. And then there's the rat rod version of it. The yeah. Um, I mean, this one was different enough to warrant inclusion. It's uh, it's pretty beefy looking. It's pretty badass. Got that Aldecaldo plate on it because nomads for life. All right. I cannot say enough good things about the Eudora. It is gorgeous. It is one of my favorite classic cars in the game. It's just so elegant. Although, man, what a nightmare replacing that glass would have to be. There is just one giant piece of curved, solid glass. My good lord. And it wasn't even, I don't think they even had safety glass back then. That was just straight glass. Phew. But yeah, I like the car. I like what I've done with it. I like that paint scheme. Some people don't like the mixing uh, metallics or shiny with matte, but I think it creates an interesting look. Creates a texture. Um, like the Eudora, I absolutely love the uh, the Brigham. Again, just huge pieces of glass that would be a nightmare to replace. But yeah, I like this gray I've got on it. I think it worked out really well. I think it works. It melds exceedingly well with the chrome. You would think one would get lost in the other, but no, they're pretty distinct. The only thing that does manage to get lost, kinda, is the livery on there, but that's okay. It's kind of supposed to do that. I tried to keep it fairly standard looking, but I just had to add this skull blower. It just looks so badass. Um, Plus, it's just more chrome on the car, and who doesn't like that? Got the Voodoo Boys license plate, and then we're moving on to the Peyote, which got pink and zebra stripes. This is my pimpalicious ride here. Um, it it it's got a nice Dreams license plate. Uh, yeah, no, I drive this around, and I feel like I should be out directing my hose and collecting that green. Hmm. And then we've got the drag racing version of it uh, with the Peyote Gasser. I dig it. You can't really see the paint through here, but it's got a pretty underneath the livery. It's got a pretty unique green that I don't know. I just wanted that livery on there. Sometimes you got to make the choice. Um, the Peyote is a weird mix between an old Cadillac Eldorado and like a 50s Eldorado and a 50s Thunderbird. It's a weird mix that turns out really well. Um, yeah, it sure is pretty. All right, moving up to the next floor. Honestly, honestly, I think in this garage, the first floor is my favorite. Um, We've got like a smaller set of 50s cars. I love a Woody, and the Click Wagon is just is it's gorgeous. Um, like it's a really well designed car by Rockstar here. Uh, they picked just enough of the original base cars looks to to make it authentic looking and just beautiful. Uh, the Weenie Dynasty, I don't know. It's a cool looking car. I didn't care for the taxi liveries, but I do dig the this flaming livery on it. And then I made the car itself blue and pink, so it just looks like a piece of chewed gum. I don't know, in my eyes anyway. It's it's a neat little car. If they were going to put a taxi livery on it, it should have been available as a taxi vehicle, but it's not. Maybe someday. I talked about the Click Wagon over there. I like that far more than the regular Click. I just don't think it's a very attractive car without the wagon kit. It looks like a Disney cartoon. Um, I know the car it's based off of, and I've always thought it looked like a Disney cartoon too. It just looks kind of goofy and surprised. Um, but I like that I was able to get the sea wash green color scheme on there, if you know what that is. With this bagger, I tried to make it look like a classic motorcycle. I tried to base it off the motorcycle that Marlon Brando rode in The Wild Bunch, but that was a black and white movie, and I have no clue what the actual color of it was. But in my mind, it looked kind of like that. We've got the other Woody station wagon here with the Volcar Fagaloa, which I'm pretty sure we had an old Volvo like this when I was growing up. Um, I think my mom had one, and we took many a cross-country trip in it with me riding in the back, me and my brother, back in the days before anybody cared about children's safety. Um, I don't even know that the back seats had seat belts. Uh, but yeah, it sure is a pretty car. And I think ours was pretty close to this color. It was a really weird, like dark pinkish something. My mom called it the rosemary. But yeah, gotta love a Volvo. What you really have to love is an Impala, and the Voodoo is just as pretty a car, as pretty as a lowrider gets, really. Uh, and the Impala is pretty iconic. Um, I think most people choose this livery. I think it's probably because, you know, well, of her. She's pretty bitchin'. Um, but I like the way the blue and the purple work off each other, so that was my main reason. Um, and we've got the Enos Stafford, which it's based off Rolls Royce, and I don't think it gets any classier in the game. Like, this is the single classiest car you're gonna find. It's just gorgeous. And with this car, I would much rather be driven around in it than drive it myself. It's it's gorgeous. All right, moving up to the third floor, where we break into yeah, the compacts of the late 50s, early 60s. Um, First off, we've got the Canis Kalahari, which they're calling it. they're basically saying it's a Jeep, but I think it's supposed to be a German thing, a Volkswagen thing. I think Volkswagen made it. Anyway, it's a cool fucking car. I think people sleep on it, but I think it's really attractive. Uh, I think it's fun to drive, and I like what I've done with it. Like you can get it with the top on it. There are certain things you can do to put the top on it. I don't like the top personally. It just it turns into a tourist ride. I like it the way it is here. Next to it, we've got the BF Injection, which is like the 50s model. You can definitely tell there's differences to the body styling of this Volkswagen equivalent than of the previous Weevil. It's kitted out for off-road. It's gorgeous. I like this is one of the very few vehicles where the rusted, like putting shiny paint over the rusted patina, creates just a really interesting look, and I think it turned out really well. Uh, it's more of a purplish if you get it out into the sun, with a pinkish secondary color, but um, yeah, I think it's gorgeous, even if it's all rusted and beat up, and the interior looks like it's been chewed on. But then we've got the Weenie Issy Classic, which everybody loves an old school Mini Cooper. I certainly do. It's got the Esmeralda license plate. Esmeralda is what I named my secondary character. She's female. Um, I love this car. I love the options it's got. I love uh, I love what I've done with it. This blue and green paint scheme. I love the wooden top. I don't know how historically accurate that is, and I don't know how long that would handle or stand up to adverse weather, but I love the way it looks. Um, and then we've got the Grotti Brioso 300, which is like an old Fiat. I remember in one of the James Bond movies, I think it was View to a Kill? No, Moonraker. One of the Roger Moore ones. He's driving in one of these, and somehow a car ends up upside down on the roof of this as he's driving it through the city. It was humorous but kind of cool, campy in that way that the Roger Moore James Bond films could end up being. Oddly enough, my favorite James Bond film of all time is a Roger Moore film, even though he's my least favorite Bond. View to a Kill, or no, For Your Eyes Only. That is my favorite James Bond movie. Anyway, we've got the Vapid Retinue in a dark pink color scheme here. Basically, this is GTA's equivalent of the first body style for the Ford Escort. Man, what an ugly car. Same as the Silvestra. The Annis Silvestra, I forget what this is supposed to be, but I mean, I think we can agree it's butt ugly. Um, yeah, yeah, the 60s and 70s compacts, and that's when the Japanese car market really hit it big by selling these little tiny ass cars that got great gas mileage but look like they just look like gum erasers. Huh. Um, the Lampadati Michelli GT. I know Lampadati is supposed to be Maserati, but man, this is just the plainest, ugliest. It's just a lump. But I like what I did with it, so there we go. Anyway, that's the compacts leading up to the 60s. That's the end of the 50s right there. We'll go to the third garage in the CEO tower. Oh, look, the sun's already going down. All right.